And last night it was through social media that many people followed what was happening, because it was obviously quite chaotic scenes here in Paris last night, but also expressed their solidarity very quickly. And it was through social media that we got this confirmation about an hour and a half ago from the Islamic State organization's communique that was published confirming in very clear English and French. There was nothing hastily written about this note, and very great detail about where the attacks were placed, including a couple of arrondissements that were in the end not attacked.
That's right. It showed, first of all, perfect French and perfect knowledge of the Paris, I suppose, geography, etc. So that already shows that whoever wrote that or was behind it knows France very well indeed. Social media from the moment the attack started, Melissa, very much central to the way it evolved. You take a look at this hashtag porte ouverte, which means open doors. Now, I noticed that evolving as the evening went on, because there were large stretches of the city that were in lockdown, so people couldn't get home or couldn't get out of those zones in lockdown. So Parisians very much saying, look, you can come into our home if you need shelter or if you need a bed for the night. Facebook was also allowing people to check in, a safety check, to reassure family and friends. Because indeed, what I found extraordinary, I was central enough in Paris last night, I was getting phone calls and text messages from overseas before I was even aware myself, a block or two from where things were happening. So the way in which this generated a huge climate of fear, not just in Paris, but around the world, was, I think, largely due to that very quick spreading of the news via social media. So that Facebook check-in did allow people to reassure family and friends that they were indeed okay. Recherche Paris is another hashtag for people looking for information about those who may have been caught up in the events of last night. Indeed, there are many, of course, who are still unaccounted for, so some turning to social media for information about that. We're also seeing slogans such as those that emerged after the Paris attacks in January, pray for Paris, and indeed Je suis Charlie also coming out. There are images which some on social media have confused for the images that sprung up on the streets of Paris last year. In fact, it's quite a different ambience this time around. People are staying in, people are staying at home. I think there really is a sense this time around that the general population was targeted. Places it was the random nature of the attack. You had the spontaneous display of solidarity at Place de la République after the Charlie Hebdo attacks, but there was a sense that the media was being targeted, that specific targets had been gone for, whereas now I think people really were staying indoors. Other elements online, you are seeing, of course, monuments that have been lit up around the world in the French flag, the colours of the French flag, the Sydney Opera House and elsewhere. So, and indeed, this rather touching statement here: when Paris turns off her lights, the world shines for her. So obviously a lot of solidarity from around the world via social media. Die Welt, the German media, saying that this is in fact an attack on Europe. Of course, there was that France-German friendly match that François Hollande was in attendance at Stade de France. So from the German point of view, this is not just Paris, it is not just France, it is indeed Europe and European values that have been targeted. That is that German reaction. Melissa. Also, L'Orient Le Jour in Beirut, where just 3 days ago there were terror attacks. The same terror, the same tears headlines the French language L'Orient Le Jour paper. And indeed, one person tweeting saying, what a feeling coming from Beirut to see Paris in a state of war, empty streets and armed soldiers. Etc. So an awful lot of information circulating on social media. I also found this quite interesting. It's from a French artist, cartoonist, and what she has done is she has reimagined the logo of Paris, Paris City Hall, and indeed that slogan, because of course Paris and the Seine that goes through it, it was once a trading, quite a serious trading route, and she is tossed by the waves but does not sink is the slogan in Latin, which has been brought out again. We're seeing also the Eiffel Tower reimagined as the peace sign, and indeed Marianne, the symbol of the French Republic, with a tear, Melissa. So wall-to-wall coverage, whether it be on social media or on this morning's papers as well, where words such as carnage, horror and massacre were prominently featuring.
James Creedon, thank you very much. As James